The Los Angeles Rams 0-1 taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Also 0-1 at State Farm Stadium, 1:05 p.m. kickoff time. 05, all right? Be careful about that. I hate the 05 kickoff times because all the early games are still going, all right? And then we got to try to convince a bartender to switch a random TV, all right? Hate the 05s, but it's going to be okay. This game is televised on Fox. Amin and Mark Sanchez on the call, and Christina Pink. Actually didn't look it up ahead of time, but I will put it up, the distribution map for you. So I'm not sure what color it is because I didn't remember. So that's pretty cool. We had prime time obviously last week, so still getting back into the groove, dude. So yeah, get that. You'll see it on there. I'll label it which one the Rams game is being shown in. Heat warnings during the week, all week in Arizona. When I looked at the weather last night, it was nighttime and it was like 107, and I was like, yo, what, dude? Not cool. But either way, it should be cooled down. I don't even know if that's the proper, I'm in Colorado, dude, so I don't know how it doesn't compute in my brain. It's going to be in the upper 90s on Sunday in Arizona. Luckily, the Rams will be rocking the Bone uniforms, and that's pretty exciting, obviously, because, well, we need to be in light colors in that heat, so it's going to be pretty miserable. Expect the Arizona Cardinals to be in all red. And as far as pants picks goes, we all went 1-0 last week, all picking the Soul pants, which I felt like was a toss-up, or a layup, I should say. But this week, we got a little bit of a mix-up pick, one Royal pick. But myself and Rams House going with the Bone Pants. Payo time, though, coming in with Royal. I just feel like, based on what we've seen the last few years, that the Rams, when wearing bone, like to wear bone pants. I hate it. I think the Soul is the best. Royal looks real sick, too, though. But I expect bone on bone for this game. You betters, Rams underdogs in Arizona. What the heck, dude? Plus 1.5 for the Rams, plus 102 on the money line. Under 50 for this one, 49.5. So that could be an interesting thing to keep our eyes on. This is the Arizona Cardinals home opener, so look for that crowd to be a crowd. I don't know how their crowd is, actually. I got some buddies going out to that game, which should be rather exciting. So at least a little bit of the good guys in that sea of red. Injuries for you. We kind of talked about the Rams injuries. We know the guys, the list of guys who just got put on IR. We also know that Kevin Dotson did not practice on Wednesday. Christian Roseboom was limited. There was somebody else who was limited. So we'll keep our eyes on the injury report this week. Also, though, heads up on the other side of the injury report, Kyler Murray did pop up onto the Cardinals injury report, but he was listed as a full participant. Expect him to play. Some kind of things that we're just kind of keeping our eyes on in this game. Arizona did look pretty good early against Buffalo, but then, blew it as they do. But they still did really have a strong start. I'm not sure what happened with Buffalo there, but they looked like a mess for a minute, but then pulled it together. Arizona doing Arizona things, letting team come back on them. This is a division opponent. Of course, the Rams have owned it since the arrival of McVay, and simply that has to continue here. The Rams can't go 0-2, all right? They can't. They can't go 0-2 before their home opener. That's just a rough spot to be in. But also with the way the Rams injuries are right now, everybody's a threat. They're all threats, dude. We're playing against NFL teams, and the Rams are pretty beat up. So every single game we go against right now in this little stretch pre-bye week is going to be pretty rough. But losing obviously makes you go 0-2, 0-1 in the division. With your home opener being the Niners staring you right in the face. You just can't lose this game. Potentially be dropping to 0-3, going into a Tom Brady call game in Chicago, and then, of course, getting back home against a Green Bay team who might be getting Jordan Love back that week. Could be earlier than that, could be later than that, but could be getting Jordan Love back for the game against the Rams. Then you go into the bye week. I mean, you could be sitting 0-5 going into the bye week, and obviously that can't happen in any real sense of being like a playoff team. You got to really turn things around if you're going to come back from a 0-5 That's a really, really tough stretch. So losing to Arizona would be a slippery slope on the season, and the team would really have to begin to rally, which it sounds crazy saying that in week 2, but with these injuries, you still just got to do it, man. You got to pull it out. They're all football players. They're all NFL players. You made it here for a reason. You are a good football player. Do good football things, dude. And, kick the crap out of the guy opposite of you. Take a look at the matchup in this game. Rams offense versus the Cardinals defense. Rams, obviously, these averages are just from last week. So these kind of will shape up as we continue on. But the Rams offense, 8th in the NFL right now, going against 21st ranked defense. 2nd in passing. Matthew Stafford ripping it up last week against that Detroit defense, going against the 24th ranked pass defense. Running the ball, Rams a little bit lower on that, 25th in the league, putting up only 83. The Cardinals gave up 130 last week. That is 19th. Points being scored, the Rams put up 20. That's tied for 17th, and the Cardinals gave up 34. That is tied for 29th worst in the league. And 3rd down, the Rams 41.7%. That's 13th, and Cardinals giving up a third, which is tied for 14th. Obviously, we are looking close at that offensive line. That is the big concern going into this one. We're not quite sure yet which 5 we'll see, but hopefully we will see Rob back to get some reinforcements this week, and then A.J. Jackson back next week from his suspension. So we do have reinforcements on the way. Help is coming, dude. Help is on the way, dear. Like Mrs. Doubtfire once said. And we just got to survive until the bye. Survive until bye, man. I'm telling you, survive until bye. And then we should at least be mostly back. You get some guys back from IR, suspension, all that stuff. We should be good to go after that. Puka going down means we should see more Tutu this week. I was surprised that we didn't last week. I did anticipate that he would be heavily utilized, and that was not the case. Tyler Johnson, though, set to be an important part of this offense for the stretch, and Whittington could also be making some noise. We are still kind of forgetting that we don't have our top tight end as well. That's a conversation that most people are not, or a topic that most people are not adding into the conversation of the Rams injuries right now, is we entered the year without our top tight end. I like our tight ends. We have a deep group, and Parkinson looked solid. Had a couple of plays where it's like, hey, where are you going on that? But overall, I think he played really well. So especially in his first game being with this team, I don't hate that at all. So just a lot of injuries, and that one I think is being forgotten about. The best matchup in this game, I've got Kyren Williams versus the run defense of the Arizona Cardinals. Kazir White, Mac Wilson, solid players, man, solid players. Rams should be able to do some damage here on the ground, but with the offensive line being a big question mark, that is obviously a tough one. The Rams passing game by the numbers actually did really well last week, and the offensive line injuries probably what made Sean a little more hesitant to hit the ground game, because we were pretty pass happy. But Kyren, being one of those guys who can bounce and break off at any moment, we just got to stick to it because it'll happen. 3 to see on the Rams offensive side of the ball. We'll start with Tyler Johnson. He was part of the Rams Revealed. Was that this week or last week? It was a very recent one. Absolutely awesome. Tyler Johnson, man. It's hard not to like this guy and hard not to root for him. He's in a very loaded position group, but really hard not to root for him. Likely going to get his fair share of reps with 17 sidelined, but definitely has the talent to pull it off, man. An underrated fantasy pickup if you are a fantasy player, especially in a deep league, but could contribute a lot more in a real football sense, more on like 3rd and short and that kind of setting, because we saw what he can do with a short ball. He can break that out. Ty Nsekhe is going to be my next one here, and we don't even have confirmation that he's going to play. I just anticipate him to. This is such a Rams move, though, bringing in Ty Nsekhe. Watch him come in at left tackle and just absolutely, dude, just not let anybody by, dude. Just being an absolute, like, rude bouncer kind of style. You know what I mean? We could see it, man. Ty Nsekhe back in L.A. Cooper Kupp is my last one here on the 3 to see on the offensive side of the ball. This is what I've been trying to tell you, okay? This entire time, this entire offseason, I've been trying to tell you this. I definitely feel like this was going to be a good Puka year. Definitely just got dented, of course, with the trip to IR. But I am extremely high on Cooper Kupp entering this year. And I think what we saw in week 1 is just what this guy is about still. Not again. He's not about this again. He's about this still. Kupp was always this guy. All right. He never went away. He was just a little bit beat up. All right. This game is very violent. Cooper Kupp runs very violent. Defenders are very violent. And when violence meets violence with that much power behind it, sometimes the human body just can't deal. Even though said human body is absolutely magnificent, an absolute monster of a human being in Cooper Kupp, I mean, it's just not, there are limits. There are limits, my guy, all right? You can blow an engine on a Ferrari, all right? Things happen. Just because something's awesome, something because it's great and impeccable, doesn't mean it's invincible. All right. So Cooper Kupp healthy right now, and I think we saw that week 1, and I am pumped for Kupp on this season, man. I've been pounding that table though for quite a while. If you're not a newbie here, then you know that. If you are a newbie here, dude, what's up? Welcome in, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Flip over to the other side. The Cardinals offense against the Rams defense. Again, these averages coming from just one game, so keep that in mind. Total offense, 22nd in the league for the Cardinals, tied for 23rd for the Rams defense. Passing the ball, the Cardinals 22nd there. Rams defense 20th, giving up 200 to the Detroit Lions last week. Running the ball, the Cardinals, this is kind of where they make their money a little bit, but still sitting right in the middle of the road. And the Rams gave up 163, which is tied for 25th. Points being scored, 28, put up by Arizona, which is tied for 9th, top 10 scoring unit. And the Rams defense gave up 26, which is tied for 19th. I will say, though, a lot of these defensive numbers definitely, like especially the running one and the points one, obviously were hurt. And even third down, look at that, like 46.2 given up. That was also hurt on that last overtime drive. The Cardinals offense, though, over 50% third down. That is actually pretty solid there. But in just one game, some notes on this matchup. I liked what I saw last week. I'll be honest. I like a lot of our safeties, but John Johnson, though, he should be really close to and just probably sitting at 100% snap rate. I think we should just go ahead and use him. All right. He killed it last week. He was on fire, man. We saw some like vintage JJ last week, and that was really good to see. The inside linebackers, effort level, so sick, all right? Reeder and Roseboom flying around. They both have definitely improved their tackling. I think that was pretty evident in the first week that both of those guys improved their tackling. Roseboom flying around, I was absolutely stoked to see that. Reeder had one where he got kind of like blown back on an early third down, and I was like, Reeder, but and then he actually had some really good hits in there, a few really good plays. And it was like, oh yeah, okay, new season, new Reeder, dude. Let's do this. Like, he's the guy. So you know what? Let's just let's have him. All right. But I also think that those guys were flying around because they had something to prove, not to themselves, not to the opponent, but to the coaches who had traded away the captain of this position just like a little over a week ago, man. And also to the fans who absolutely hated the trade and were like, what are we doing? We can't have these guys play. Ernest Jones is our guy kind of thing. And so I think that those guys came in with something to prove to their own, to Rams fans and to their coaching staff. I think that those players came in with something to prove there. I'm already digging Shula, by the way. And I would say it was really nice to see when, it was third and short, that we were just up on our receivers. Not necessarily pressing, just a little bit closer. We just need to be a little bit closer. Instead of that third and 2 and we're 10 yards off, this time we were 3rd and 3 and 2 yards off. And I was like, yo, it's like they can hear me, I think. At least Shula, I'm digging Shula. At the very least, I like that he's a little bit more aggressive. And I think that honestly, he had a great game plan, especially considering the young team that he is coaching on that defensive side of the ball. He's got no captains returning from last year, and he's a first-year defensive coordinator. I think he did an awesome job handling an offense that was extremely explosive last week. And I know that the Rams, we're looking at 23rd in the NFL in total defense here, but I think that the game plan was awesome. And we get some more health here and some more experience out of our young guys. Like Verse looks awesome. Fisk looked awesome, but that was their first NFL game. So like we'll probably get them a little bit more involved and a little bit more intense as the season goes on. Also, the secondary has a lot of talent, but we knew with the new defensive coordinator and almost all new guys that we weren't going to be in our best early in the season. This group will get better and better every week. Maybe have some off days in there, I'm assuming. But the Week 18 secondary is going to be dramatically different and better than the Week 1 secondary that we saw. This is not what we're going to see. We're not going to see this exact same team as the season goes on. We will get better. This team's just very young, all right, and beat up. So we'll get not only healthier, but more experienced. And by the time the playoffs are kind of in a conversation, we should be looking pretty good, all right? If we're going to have to deal with this kind of stuff, I'd rather do it in Week 1 and not in like Week 17 where it's like we don't have any dudes. Nobody's left, man. How are we going to go to the playoffs? Let's do this now. Spend the season getting healthy. Pick up some dubs as we can, and then when we get healthy, really hit it hard at the end of the season. I fully kind of anticipate that this season will kind of feel a little bit like last year. I'm saying that. Best matchup on the Rams defense versus that Cardinals offense. I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr. Because he's already looking like he's got some pressure on him coming into the Arizona Cardinals home opener after a pretty underwhelming showing in Week 1. And I don't know if the line was true or not that Kyler Murray said, where he's like, that's not my job to get him the ball. It's like, I'm running the offense, which is kind of translated into he wasn't getting open. How am I supposed to get him the ball? He's not doing his part. It's kind of how I translated that. Not sure if that's what he meant, but either way, rather dicey situation. Harrison's NFL career has started real rocky, dude. But Harrison versus Rams secondary will be interesting to watch for sure. Really no decent tape on him yet. Obviously, he had like 4 yards in Week 1. But Trey White on Harrison feels like a major advantage for the Rams, and I don't know if the Cardinals have any other weapons that I'm like, oh, I don't know about that guy though. That might be a scary one. So I think it's Harrison, but also is it though? Is he scary? I don't think so. Right? At least he's not right now. 3 to C on the defensive side for the ball. Jared Verse. Sir, you are mean. Jared Verse is a mean man, and I absolutely love it, dude. Seeing Verse lay a shoulder into some dudes was absolutely awesome. He plays fast, he plays aggressive, and he looks like he already fits into the NFL. You absolutely love to see it, dude. Verse will be fun to watch all season long, but going into Week 2, he's already showing that he's a strong part of this group. First time he gets a taste of divisional NFL action on the road. Should be a fun one, man, going against Kyler Murray. Jared Verse, dude, yeah, you get it. Me and Jared are right here. Anybody else, I don't know. Kobe Durant up next. Got a little bit banged up, but did come back. Almost had that pick that would have been very helpful for the Rams in pushing for a dub. Durant, he will be in the spotlight again, but is already that kind of veteran level of the defense. Obviously, we add in Ahkello Witherspoon, which is a big move, but I'd still expect to see a lot of Kobe in this one. He's got that attitude, though, to keep it loose, keep it fun, hype up the young guys. Durant's kind of got incredible energy about him. I think we all kind of know that, and this would be a really cool time to have a sick Landshark game. Like getting some defensive tuds here is kind of what I'm feeling a little bit. And my last on 3 to C is going to be John Johnson. It's not that I feel like Lake had a bad game, but I feel like he left me wanting a little bit more, if that makes sense. So Johnson, on the other hand, he had a killer day. Looked like some vintage JJ on some of those plays. We absolutely love to see it. And JJ, man, doing some big things out here. So absolutely love it. Those are your 3 to C on the defensive side of the ball. Connections in this one. Former Rams who are currently on the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, the Cardinals head coach. He was a Rams scout from 09 to 11, which, I mean, if we're keeping track here, weren't that good of years. And then Brandon Schwab as well. He was a scout from 99 to 2012 for the Rams. Former Cardinals who are currently on the Rams, well, just one, Greg Williams. No, not that one. Some NFL connections here. There's no real intense NFL connections in this one. I felt like I was like missing them, and it was like, what, am I forgetting something here? But no, there's just actually not really any good connections here. I got a few though. Darius Williams did play in Baltimore with wide receiver Chris Jones. D. Will also played in Jacksonville with wide receiver Zay Jones. And Zay Jones played in Buffalo with Trey White. So 3 degrees of Zay Jones or whatever. College connections, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. First time we were mentioning their names in the connection realm. Played at Florida State with Cardinals rookie running back Trey Benson. They all came in together. Probably expect like one of those, pictures or whatever at the end. Tutu Atwell played at Louisville with Keitrell Clark. I believe I'm saying that right. I do apologize if I'm not. Neville Gallimore, newly added to the Rams roster here, played at OU with Kyler Murray. And Charles Woods, rookie corner for the Rams, he played at West Virginia with Dante Stills of the Arizona Cardinals. Milestones in this one. So we're going to pair in this year. The milestones reached with the milestones we're still looking for. Milestones that Sam Bradford, or I keep on blowing my blowing my coverage here a little bit. Matthew Stafford passed Sam Bradford for 8th most passing yards in franchise history, so that's pretty cool. So number 9 passed number 8 to become number 8 and push number 8 to number 9. You following along with that? He also passed Brett Favre and tied Dan Marino for 8th most 300-yard passing games. Stafford sitting at 63. 8th most in NFL history. Matthew Stafford, you are an animal. Puka Nacua became the fastest player in NFL history to hit 1,500 receiving yards, and that is just in 18 games. Puka, obviously an absolute monster, and it's unfair for the rest of the NFL. In fact, maybe there's something football gods are saying of like, hey, you guys can't have a healthy Cooper Kupp and a Puka Nacua. That's just not fair. I think I'm going to stick with that. It makes me feel better about it. And Cooper Kupp passed Matt Gay on the Rams' all-time scoring list, moving to 16th. And he does need 13 receptions, which we now definitely know that he can get in one game, to pass Henry Ellard for 3rd most in franchise history. And he needs 2 touchdowns, to pass Elroy Hirsch. Dude, actually, though, Hellroy. Crazy Legs is such an old school nickname, dude. Hellroy Hirsch? That's so sick, dude. Anyway, needs 2 touchdowns to pass Elroy Hirsch for 3rd most touchdowns scored by a wide receiver in franchise history. That is your Los Angeles Rams at Arizona Cardinals game preview. Again, this game kicking off at 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. That game on Fox with Adam Amin and Mark Sanchez. Should be a fun one, first divisional game of the year, and definitely just something the Rams need to be able to wrangle in, all right? But I will say, if the Rams can put that kind of fight against the Detroit Lions, as beat up as they were, you kind of have a week to get in some other guys. You bring in an Nseki and a Kello and stuff like that. I actually feel pretty decent about this game. Don't expect it to necessarily be high-flying, but I don't expect any of these games to be necessarily high-flying as we lead into the bye week. After that, I think we kind of crank it up a little bit. But until then, survive until bye. Fantastic.